Hello, 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 everybody. This is Dr. Shaniva Early, your craft doctor, and I'm here with a quick video. I want to show you how to make a mechanism, not necessarily the card itself. I was watching Crafter's Companion with the Craftalong, and Debbie was doing this card, which you can see it is dated for today, which is March the 6th. And she used this huge piece of paper, and we're like, where did you get this piece of paper from? We don't have this gigantic piece of paper. And then she cut it down to a small size. So I said, and a couple of other people was in the chat saying, can you start out with this size? Can you start out with this size? So I started to work out the measurements. And so I decided to go ahead and do a quick video on how to do this. So the card is a four-fold card. So you flip it one way, the other way, like that. So, and it's made with an edgeable. The first thing that you have to do is you have to pick your edgeable. That is going to determine the width of your card, okay? So this edgeable is, and I just got it out the edgeable box, 5.5. So each one of your pieces need to be 5.5. No matter how long it is, the width has to be 5.5. Okay, and that's only because this is the length. If you have a 6.5, you can do a 6.5. Whatever the size of your edgeable is can determine your card size. Okay, because you don't want to cut off in the middle of your edgeable. Okay, so now we know that everything is 5.5 for our card. For the card base, it has to be the same size as the edgeable. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I'm starting backwards. My card is going to be 11 inches tall pre-die cutting. Before I add my die cut, it's going to be 11. So I'm going to cut one sheet, and I'm cutting it at 5.5. Yeah, that's 5.5. By 11. That's this piece. This will be your back piece. Okay, so 5.5 by 11. Then you take another piece and you cut that piece. And if you can see, I already have them cut, but I want to show you. Hey, we will show you examples and then just have the pieces finished for you. Then you cut this piece at 5.5 again, because that is your base. No, I'm wrong. Don't cut this piece at 5.5. Your base piece is at 5.5. So in order for you to be able to do the wrap, you have to cut this an inch wider. Yep, that's right. Okay, you have to cut it an inch wider because the base piece don't have a wrap. The other three pieces have a wrap around or tab. So you cut this one at 6.5. And then you go down 2 inches. So if this piece is 5.5 by 11, then this piece needs to be 5.5 by 9. So I'm saying 5.5 only because I'm not including the tab. But your cutout piece, you cut 6.5 by 9. Then you score this piece at 1 inch. So you have 6 by 9 scored at 1 inch. Doesn't matter which side right now. And you lay that aside. That goes with that piece. Now you take your next piece of paper. You cut this one at 6.5. Remember, your finished card is going to be 5.5, but you need that tab. So you're going to cut this piece at 6.5. And then you're going to cut it 2 inches shorter at 7. Okay? On your 6.5 side, you're going to bring it over to 1 inch and you're going to score it. And this is going to be that next piece. Okay, the one thing that you got to remember is cutting it that extra 1/2 inch just for the tab piece. Then you're going to take your last sheet and you're going to cut this one again at 6.5. Turn it over and you're going to cut it at 5. Okay, on that 6.5 side, score it at your 1, just like that. Okay, and that is your cutout pieces. And the reason why you cut it at 6.5 is for your tab. Okay, and your measurements is always based off how wide your edgeable die is. So if you have a 6-inch edgeable, cut your paper out at 6 inches and add 1 inch. So cut it at 7 inches. So you'll cut it at 7 inches. So I just cut out these pieces, but this paper is so thick that I can't use it, or I don't want to use it. That's why I have these other cuts. I'm using thinner paper because my 6x6 paper is all thick paper for decoupaging. So now let's recap what size paper we have. This one, you can see my measurements right there, is 11 by 5.5. Then you have another sheet that's 6.5 by 9. Your next sheet is 6.5 by 7. You know what? Let me do it like this. Then you'll be able to see it much better. 6.5 by 11 because it's going stair step. So this is 11, 9, 7, and 5. That's how it is. These 3 pieces are 6.5. This one is 5.5. Now, when you want to put your card together, you're going to put it as if you're opening it. So you want your tabs to be on a specific side. The specific side is how you're going to open and close the actual unit. So put this piece to the side because this is the back. Now you want to put your edgeable die right up against the top, or however you want it, wherever you want to cut out, because this is up to you, but you have to cut it out the same on each sheet. So I'm making sure that my edgeable is right at the top, up above of at the top of this sheet of paper, but do not go on the tab. Leave that tab alone. So the reason why you cut this out to be 5.5 is because that's the size of your edgeable. Okay. Okay, and so I'm getting ready to cut this edge out. Ooh, that didn't stick. My little tape is losing its sticky. Okay, let that down. And I'm going to run this straight through my die cutting machine. Okay, I just flipped it over to see if it cut all the way through, and it didn't. So I'm going to send it back through. Go back in there. That should have did it that time. And did that cut it off? Don't look like those bits in the middle has been cut all the way off. So I'm going to run this through again, and I will pause you and be right back. Okay, so my edgeable is cut out, and then I'm just going to come right over here and snip. Yeah, snip right where my edgeable ends, right there. So there's my edgeable. Okay, so there's my edgeable cut out for the first piece, or this is really the middle piece because the 8-inch piece have to get cut out, the edgeable too. So now all I'm doing is putting my die right at that top piece, and I'm gonna run it through my machine. Oof, my tapes. I'm using all these old tape. Okay, so I'm gonna run all of my edges through, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished the last die cut piece, and I just left it on here so I can show you the example. Okay, come off. Okay, so when I cut out the pieces, don't forget I scored them all at 1 inch. Then I straightened them up the way that I wanted them to be on my card base, or how I wanted my card to open, let's say. So my very first one, try to be careful because this is very delicate. Okay, so the first way I wanted to open up is like this. So I put my score line on the right hand side. If you want to open it up on the other way, you can. It's up to you. Make sure that. Okay, so I did it backwards, but it doesn't matter. As long as you do it correctly backwards each way. So if you want your card to open up like this, you'll put your tab on the right hand side. If you want it to open up like a regular card first, you put it on the other side. Okay, so the way I did mine this time was the opposite, so you can see it. Okay, so my tab is right here. This is my edgeable. This is my score line. So what you do is I've already scored all of these. See, I scored it. Make sure that you come and you cut off right at your tab. Okay. So then this is the rest. This is the best part. This is the pre-end. Make sure, let me fold this tab in, that your tabs are opposites. That's the only key to this. It depends on how you want it to open up. However you want it to open up, make sure your tabs are opposites. So this tab will open this way. This one will open this way, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's glue these tabs down. So I'm going to put me some tape. And I'm going to take this first piece, and I'm just going to make sure it's even at the bottom. Don't go over your score mark, and lay that down. Now, that's that card base. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with your next piece. This piece, I put too much pressure, so it kind of crinkled up on me, but that's all right. It still will work. You do the same thing with this one. You take that, make sure it's even at the bottom, lay it down, and press that in. And the reason why this piece is the correct size is because you don't need a tab. So let's put some tape on this one. And we're just going to slide this right in there. Make sure it's even on all sides. And press down. And there you are. And that is the card. Now all you have to do is measure for your decoration. So it opens like this, then like that, and like that. And so all of your paper, since you put it on the inside, which is where it goes, you just cover that up with some designer paper. So you'll designer paper all of the fronts, designer paper all of the backs, and voila. And that is the card. Now say you like this and you're like, oh my God, this is so cute, but how come it's so tall? I don't want it to be this tall. You know what you do? Cut it from the bottom and make it shorter. So all you do, grab your paper trimmer and let's see how standard I can get to my 5x7 here. If you wanted to make this, say, a 5x7, yeah, no, it'll be too close to this bottom piece if you made it a 5x7 card. But let's just cut it down just so I can show you. If you think this card is just too super long, you just cut it down. And so now, there you go. I cut it down to 9. Yeah, I cut it down to 9. Now, if you wanted this to be a 5x7 card, leave this one out and cut your paper to like an 8 or 8.5 to allow for the width of the die. Cause yeah, this is 1.5. So yeah, if you wanted this to be a 5x7, cut your paper down to 8.5 and put your die on, and it'll end up to be 7. So you won't have this extra third piece. You'll have just those two. But that's how that works. So now, if you don't want your card to open like this, put your tabs on the other side, and it'll open up like this. I just use a different kind of die, so you can use any kind of die you want. See? Just make sure wherever you start out with your tabs, your other tab, the one in the middle, has to be on the opposite side, because that's the only one that's opposite. Because this tab is on this side, this tab is on this side. You see that? These two tabs are on the same side. Just make sure the one in the middle is on the other side. Okay? That's all you do. So it doesn't matter how it opens. It can open either way. It works. Isn't that gorgeous? And that is how you do this card that she did on the show. And this is for Sharon H. We were talking back and forth, and I said I will make a video for you, and this is the video. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.